Hi there, this is Dr. Jillian Camwell from Troy University. You just finished watching me play the 2022 Alabama Oboe High School All-State Audition Etude, the fast excerpt, which is Fairling number 20 from your Fairling 48 Studies Method book. This is a challenging excerpt, so I wanted to have a little bit of fun with it. Sometimes we feel a little bit of anxiety, like maybe something is chasing us or maybe something is erupting like a volcano behind us. So I added a little bit of volcanic activity behind my video. Hopefully you don't feel like lava is about to consume you by the end, but just have a little bit of fun with it and enjoy the ride. Okay, this is a fast etude. It's most important that you don't look at that metronome marking and say it's make or break, quarter note equals 104. If you can play this cleanly at a slower tempo, please do so. In fact, I believe that my video is a little bit slower than 104 just so that I could play it cleanly without any errors. And that is going to look a lot more favorable on you as an auditioner to a judge rather than something that is a little bit too fast and sloppy. So keep that in mind when you're working on this. One quick note as you're preparing this audition, even though I played the entire etude for the video, your audition will only take you up until the downbeat of measure 21. So you will stop after you play the G at the end of the phrase at the downbeat of measure 21. One of the trickiest parts of this etude is actually the trill that comes back over and over again in this etude. And what I would recommend when you're first learning an etude like this with these trills is to take it out. We want to be able to play the etude with the fundamental rhythm and the correct notes before we add any ornamentation to it. That includes articulations. You could certainly play this slowly for notes, getting the correct notes and the correct rhythms with all slurs or all tongues just to get the correct notes. But even at a slow tempo, go ahead and add the correct articulations even before you add the trills. So that might sound something like da 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 dun 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 da da dun 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 dun. So I'm not singing the correct pitches, of course, but you can hear I'm paying close attention to the printed articulations. There is one slight change, and depending on which edition you are reading out of for Fairlings, it might have corrected it for you. Measure 11 should be the same articulation as measure 1. So if you look to measure 11, if you have an edition that reads with a slur into the second beat, with then two slurs and a staccato note, that's incorrect. It should be the same as measure 1 with ta, 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 ta. So you can go ahead and change that so it reflects the correct articulation. You can play the staccato notes nice and light, and anytime that we have a variety of articulations in one excerpt, you can lean into the slurred notes when you're learning this a little bit more to help ground you rather than rushing through them. So I might place a slight emphasis on the slurred notes, especially when I'm learning this. So it might sound like ta 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 ta, singing the incorrect pitches again. But as you can hear, I'm just giving a little bit of an emphasis at the beginning of each group, each slurred group. When we get to measure 7, that's going to be especially helpful. Ta 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 ta. So we don't squish those notes together and it ends up sounding too clipped, ta 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 ta, and uneven. So we don't want an uneven sound. And by giving a slight emphasis to the beginning of a slurred group of notes, that can help us by imagining a little bit of length, can really help us make sure we don't rush through those. This excerpt should be played in 2 breaths. So our goal tempo, even though it's quick, if you're playing it under 104, which I am, we just need to be able to play it quick enough that you can play it in 1 breath until measure 8, and then another breath until measure 21. So that's something you want to keep in mind if you are playing it a little bit or significantly under tempo, slower than the printed 104 tempo. You just have to account for a little bit more breathing if you need to sneak in some breaths some places. Probably the most technically challenging aspect of this etude is adding that trill when we finally do add it in. There are really 2 ways to play this trill. One is as a true trill, and when we trill something, it should be 2 shakes. So that would be G, A, G, A, and we always end on the note itself, on the printed note, so we would end on a G. You could play, if your fingers can't quite get 2 shakes in, you can do 1 shake and we would turn it into a mordant. That is just playing a ba-da-da. So it would sound like da 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 da. And to be honest, it's really not the end of the world. If you are studying with a teacher and they are insisting that you play 2 trills and you're used to doing that, that's fine. I am going to say I'm 99% positive that if you played with just 1 shake, G, A, G, no judge is going to say, hey, you're playing that incorrectly. You really should be doing 2 trills, and therefore you're not getting into All-State this year. Everything else considered, this is a very challenging excerpt. So whether you play it with correct trill technique, 2 trills, which I did play in the video, so you could hear with 2, that's 2 shakes rather, not 2 trills, or you just play 1 shake, which is da-da. You can hear the difference between the 2. That is not the end of the world. So as long as you have good energy, you have correct articulations, and of course correct notes, rhythm, articulation, those should be placed above ornamentation. The ornamentation is always icing on the cake. So if you have a little bit of icing in the form of 1 mordant and it makes it sound kind of cool and sounds a little bit zestier than no mordant, that's great. If you play 2 trills but you can't quite get in and it changes your rhythm and it slows you down and it throws you off completely, then suddenly that piece of cake or that beautiful cake is no longer beautiful anymore, and it's not very appetizing. So I'd rather hear a clean 1 shake mordant than a sloppy or too slow trill if we can't quite get there. That's always something that we're going to aim for and try to get our finger to move fast enough in order to get 2 shakes. So aiming for that, if you are really trying to get your finger to move fast enough, little exercises. That 3rd finger on the left hand, and on either hand, your ring finger, is a slow finger generally. It wants to collapse very easily. If you were to drum that finger on a tabletop, we want to keep it nice and strong and curved. In order to trill efficiently, our finger shouldn't be collapsing. Otherwise, we have to really pop it up in order to lift it again. And if that's really going to get in the way of an efficient motion for a trill. Once your finger is curved and nice and strong, you can start by playing da-dee-da-dee-dum, da-dee-da-dee-dum, da-dee-da-dee-dum. That would be 2 trills, and then eventually just get a little bit faster. Ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum. You can try this on your G. You can try this on any fingering on the oboe. Practicing right hand D to E is also a good trill fingering to practice because that's the same finger on the right hand. Just strengthening that as a trill fingering. And then eventually want to put it into context. Da 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 da. Okay, so I'm not singing it very well, but I'm getting 2 shakes in there instead of just the 1 mordent. But that's something to work up to, and again, not the end of the world if we only play 1 shake in here. Finally, just one note on the dynamics of this etude. It is printed forte throughout. However, that doesn't give you an indication of phrasing and musical shaping. It really speaks a lot to your musicianship level if you can show the judge a natural shape to the phrase. If you don't play the whole thing forte, if you play with some direction to your notes. Every note should be leading to something or coming away from something. So keep that in mind as you play. Have fun with this and play musically no matter what. I hope those tips help you as you prepare for this All-State audition. If you have any questions, please reach out to me and I will be happy to help in whatever way I can. I hope you have fun and stay away from that hot lava because it's coming to get you, and that's sometimes how we feel when we're playing an excerpt like this. But have fun with it and have fun at All-State this year. Thanks very much.